Good morning. Hope you're having a good day. It's a nice day to be outside again, and man, it's been a crazy week. Spent the first part of this week just in some good time praying with some friends, and just really seeking God with how to engage what's going on around us. And man, the result of that so far has been pretty cool. We had a really cool prayer gathering last night online with about 5 churches from the Louisville area, and it was really neat just to get together and pray and hear from God what He's doing, and really to hear the passion from other followers of Jesus, and to hear the pain that's in there from some others, and just to be able to be together, and to then be reminded that Jesus has this, and Jesus is working in this moment, and will see us through as we continue to focus on Him. I'm finishing up my study on Invest in a Few this week, and they ask this one big question, and I think it's interesting for us to think about what we're doing with our life. But he uses this image of an apple, and he holds up an apple, and he says, "How many apples do I have?" And the obvious question is one, right? But then he asks again, "How many apples do I have?" And then somebody says millions, and then people have a different perspective on the apple after that, because they realize that there are seeds in the apple, and if you plant the apple seeds, it grows apple trees. The apple trees grow apples that present, you see where it's going. So that one apple could create several apples, millions of apples. And so he asks this, kind of poses this question: will you consume or will you invest? And he's talking about the apple. You just eat the apple, and you can eat the apple and enjoy it for a second, for just a few minutes, and then you end up with this apple core that you just throw it away, right? Or you can invest the apple, where you cut it up, use the seeds, invest the seeds, plant them in the ground, and then the cool part, he didn't say this in the thing, but to me the cool part is you still get to consume the apple. You still get to enjoy the fruit, so to speak. And so it's this question, when we apply it to our life, of what are we doing with our life? How are we living our life? Are we living our life to consume everything around us, or are we investing our life in those around us? And we know that's a big question, right? And we know that when we're selfish, when we're self-centered, we tend to take care of ourselves at the expense of other people. And so I think that creates anger in other people, right? Because they're not able to get their needs met, and yet we're the ones that kind of hold their needs, the ability to meet their needs, and we don't do that. And then when we don't get what we want, we get angry. So it feeds in. I talked about this a little bit ago, but it feeds into that anger stuff that we deal with, where we just we want to get what we want, and when we don't, we get angry. And sometimes that's justified anger, and sometimes it's not. We talk about righteous and unrighteous anger. Um, But I'm reminded of, as I think about this, Galatians 6:9, which says, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." And so investing our lives in other people is challenging sometimes. It's hard. I think the hardest part is the spiritual side, because we don't realize it's a spiritual battle, that while God has created us to live that way, and that we experience more life when we live that way, there's an evil presence. We call it Satan. That's an evil spiritual presence that doesn't want us to experience life. It wants us to experience death. And so we're really battling that. And if we don't acknowledge that, then it's hard either way. But that makes it really hard. And then the study I'm in kind of closes out. This is the verse for that week. It says, "We must work the works of him who sent me while it is day. Night is coming when no one can work." That's from John 9:4. I had this thought as we were just praying last night, just was encouraged, and it just came back that, there's people that have died over the last week, over the last months, that have been killed, that have been beat down, that unnecessarily, unrightfully in many cases, and I'm not really here to argue that. It does frustrate me, the injustices that are happening, and I know that's a whole nother talk. But the reality is, there are people that are dying today that do not have a relationship with Jesus. And so what they've done in their life, they've consumed their life. They've lived their life to the fullest as they can, and at the end of their life, they have what they have, and there's this core, which is their body, that gets put in the ground and it goes away. And that's all they have. And so if we die without Jesus, we end up in a place we call hell, which is separation from God forever. But when we have Jesus, and he gives us the power and the gifts to invest our lives in others, to truly love others well, we can invest, and much like the apple seeds, we invest our lives in others, and that investment continues on beyond our life here on earth. And so yeah, one day I'm going to die, I'm going to get to experience eternity with Jesus, but then the legacy or the investments that I have made, that God has used me to make, that he has made through me, will continue to go on. And so it really is an eternal investment. And so I look forward one day to see that maybe my life has counted for something. And I think it will. And I don't know what that is and or what it's going to look like, but I'm confident that as I invest my life in Jesus, in knowing God first, and knowing him, and in loving my neighbor, as the scriptures say, that God takes care of that, and that he will grow and produce fruit from that will go on to into eternity. And people's lives really are changed. And so that's one thing I really enjoyed going through this study, and love how it just encourages us to really think about how are you investing your life in other people? What are you chasing? What are you chasing in life, and is it worth it? And is it going to be just a flash in the pan, so to speak, where it's over in just a few minutes? Or is it going to be something that lasts? So I pray today that you just consider that as we're in this season, and maybe that sparks some questions, and I'd love to talk to you about those questions, but I can tell you Jesus is the one that can answer those questions for you. And so I encourage you to seek him first. Find some other followers of Jesus, find some other people and talk about it, and just have some communication about it, and see what God might do in and through you through that. So there you go. Hope you get to enjoy the rest of this great day. I think we're supposed to have rain tonight, but right now it's really nice. So have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.